So I guess the next logical step is start looking at, now that we have the overarching organization, we've got the guild, and kind of what you wanted to really talk about today is the academy. And I think this is going to be really interesting only because this isn't necessarily specific to members of the guild or people that have to be a part of an academy or anything like that, or any part of an organization. But it said this is something that you're opening up to kind of create a better education experience for any visitors that are coming.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm really excited. Just like I was for the Guild, honestly, the Bourbon Capital Academy holds more implications for Bardstown and for our distilling industry. So the Bourbon Capital Academy at its core are Bardstown-centric bourbon education courses. So we have built, over the course of many months, a custom proprietary Bourbon Capital Academy deck.
What's the acronym for that one? Do you know what I'm just kidding.
Is that BCAD? Yeah. We've got BCG for the Guild. We got BCCA. We got BCA. It's too much.
Okay.
We have too many acronyms.
You're doing great though.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
But the Academy is 3 target markets. So this is a relatively new development. During National Bourbon Day, we announced $100,000 and now $50,000 sponsorship from Jeff Hopmayer and the Brindiamo Group out of Nashville. So that was earmarked for the build out of a dedicated space, one for Bourbon Capital Guild monthly member meetings. So build it out, blow it out. You've got a really cool space that you can meet in. It's a value add for our guild members. But most importantly, number 2, that was for a dedicated space for the Bourbon Capital Academy, dedicated classroom. So we have worked with the Bourbon Festival leadership, Spalding Hall there, 114 North 5th Street, right downtown, historic building. The history on that place is incredible. We have worked with the team there at Kentucky Bourbon Festival, Randy Prossi, COO, David Mandel, chair of the board, to reach an agreement to brand that space and build out that space as the Brindiamo Penthouse. So that has been announced and will happen there at the Bourbon, will have happened at the Bourbon Festival. But that space, so you come up off that elevator and you're going to have this big Brindiamo Penthouse logo right in your face. You turn right. We'll have a bar over there, hopefully whiskey lockers, if we can do it, for our guild members. So that's a budget thing. We'll see if we can get it done. But you go all the way to the end of the room. I'm sure you all have been in the space, and that will be dedicated classroom for the Academy. What that allows us to do is integrate the Oscar Getz Museum of Whiskey History, which is right downstairs. So it's a gym in Bardstown. Most people don't know about it. It is free entry at all times. So we can work into our BCA 101 course, the Oscar Getz Museum of Whiskey History, driving traffic there. There's not a better resource you're going to find. And then bring them upstairs, teach them base level distilling. But specifically, what we're building out right now is the Bardstown history portion. So we sat down with Dixie Hibbs for an hour and a half and shot video, filmed her.
I guess you probably need to explain to people who don't know who Dixie Hibbs is.
Dixie Hibbs, former Bardstown mayor. We call her Bardstown Google. She is also a KDA Hall of Famer. So she is the resource on Bardstown distilling history and Bardstown history in general. So we went to her and we sat down in her home, filmed her just off the cuff for an hour and a half. And the hardest part about that was cutting some of that content out. How do we cut an hour and a half of awesome stuff into 5 to 10 minutes? But again, base level distilling knowledge, Bardstown history, Bardstown distilling family tree, Bardstown brand family tree, because I think people would be amazed if you're relatively new to bourbon. Some people don't know, Elijah Craig's a Heaven Hill product, Evan Williams, so if you lay it out visually in a really cool way, all of the bourbon brands that are produced in Bardstown, Nelson County, it's going to blow people away. So we just want people to leave this course with an appreciation of Bardstown's role in the evolution of bourbon, some knowledge of distilling, fermentation, barreling, all of that stuff that we know.
Which, for the most part, the whiskey 101, kind of understanding exactly how the fermentation process works, how distillation works. Most of the time, people are getting that education as you're going through a tour, and they're like pointing at something, saying, it goes over here and over here. And at that point, it's already lost. A lot of people need that diagram, like a classroom type of setting, to understand exactly like, oh, okay, it goes from the masher and then over to here and then over to here, instead of just pointing at something, you're like, it's over there. And then, well, because you go to any particular distillery, there's pipes running absolutely everywhere, and nothing is going in the same process in the same way that you're going through this. And it's usually kind of backwards for a lot of people. So having that classroom setting can really help cement that education.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're going to have very educated teachers that come in and teach this, probably some from distilleries. But what we've done is provided, a resource here. We've built out these field notes that all the attendees will get. And so the slides, the content, everything is neatly packaged in there. People can refer to it. There are whiskey tasting notes in there. So we want people to take the field notes as they're learning to taste whiskey, take it with them to a distillery, make their notes. We've built a custom proprietary whiskey tasting note page. So that's the 101 course, and that's really cool.